Order, the chair now recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Duarte. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this work? Wrong button. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you to all of our guests here today testifying. I want to talk to Ms. Areola and Ms. Williams. Is this the first time that you ladies have had a chance to come to Capitol Hill and have our attention and explain what's happening in your districts?
For me, it has, yes.
And Ms. Williams, have you been able to find an opportunity to let us in Congress know how this influx of migration is impacting your district?
I am very thankful for the opportunity to be before you to bring to the attention the misuse or the intent of our national park.
Thank you. You represent districts there in New York. Please elucidate for us a little bit beyond just the national park issue. I'm reading reports, but one of the reasons of these hearings is to get firsthand accounts from folks on the ground throughout the country. What's happening to small businesses around the hotels where migrants are being housed and tourism is being displaced?
Small businesses both around and inside the hotels are closing.
On what scale? What are you seeing?
I would say on a large scale. They've been reporting it on the local news that they just cannot function because of the lack of tourism and the fact that there are so many migrants on the street and in the hotels.
Thank you. And Ms. Williams, what are you seeing along those lines? What other social and community impacts are the large influxes of migrants having? I assume the national park wasn't our first option in terms of where to put hordes of migrants. Where else have they been put, and what have the community impacts been so far in your district?
Well, as far as I know, just like everyone else, did it again, sorry. I heard this on the news, and there was no prior communication from the powers be, and it was very concerning for our community. I have to say that the 59th Assembly District is a very peculiar district. It's a residential area. It's a transit desert. We do not have a train going through our community, period. Our community have some of the most green spaces in New York City, hence Floyd Bennett Field, right? So housing the migrants there, it's almost 2 to 3 miles from anything possible. And we have a mall there. And those people that run that mall, they're concerned because as the colder months come by, darkness comes earlier, right? So people are very concerned, small businesses are concerned, but again, the district that I represent is a very residential one with much of safety concerns at hand.
How about food outlets, services, jobs? Can you elucidate a few of those issues?
Well, as I said, it's a 2-mile radius from where they will be placed, or almost 3 mile. There is no jobs there. There is no food there. There is nothing there but institutions like Aviator and Fresh Meadow Farm for recreational purposes. So all these things will have to be brought in. For them to travel, they would have to travel out of Floyd Bennett Field to go into the bigger population where they can seek those amenities.
So we have a food desert. We have a jobs desert. So SNAP cards and work visas won't remedy these factors easily. We have a transportation problem. We don't have public transportation set up to move these folks to where they can be productive or participate in the economy. So what's the end game? What do we do as, I think this last month we had 230,000 new crossings documented on the southern border, plus gotaways, so we assume it's a higher number than that. What's the end game? How does this end? Because in my district in Modesto, we've got neighborhoods that were formed as, you call them refugee camps or Dust Bowl camps around Modesto, California, where the Model A's just came and parked and people started living there, and now we've got neighborhoods that sprawled up that, not quite 100 years later, 90 years later, that still have no sidewalks. They've never been incorporated. There never was a solution. And now we've got these ongoing problems of these communities that were never planned. How do you see this ending?
I just want to add, as you said, Endgame. I don't know if there's an end in sight. However, what I do know that needs to happen, that every part of government, federal, state, and city, have to be in communication. You cannot ignore the local government, the local representatives that represent their constituency. These decisions cannot be made at such a level where the local electeds read about it or hear about it over the news.
So have they asked you, has anyone asked you from the federal government as they displace onto the federal park here and other places throughout your community, how they're going to supplement the tax base that has been put, further demands have been put on? Are they going to give you as a city or state government additional revenues to handle the public safety or the lack of tax base that's coming with these new demands?
The gentleman's time's expired. I'll give you.
There
a
has been no
brief more
commitment
answer.
for financial support.
Well, thank you for coming here today. I yield back to the chairman.
Gentleman's time's expired.